Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Hawk Talk. I'm your host, Colin Cole. I'm here to bring you another great show today. Before we jump into that, man, I got to introduce my two partners, I got two co-hosts today. Two co-hosts. We've had the first one on a couple of times. We talked about it a couple of times. Former two-time All Big Ten perennial. He was definitely the staple at right tackle for a few years under Kirk Ferentz, and he's here to bring us the knowledge that he brings us every single time. David Porter, thank you for joining us, Mr. Porter. I appreciate you, brother.
Happy to be here, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And secondly, you might have already seen him, but he was the Davey O'Brien winner back in 2002, Player of the Year in 2002, All-American, All Big Ten Player of the Year, Iowa team captain, and he also finished that season as the runner-up to the Heisman. Arguably, I'll make this argument, arguably the best quarterback to step off of Kinnick Field, and that's Mr. Brad Banks. Brad, thank you for joining me today, sir.
Glad to be here, Colin. Thanks for the intro.
I don't understand the hesitation.
Porter.
Get that.
Don't worry.
I understand the hesitation there.
Thank you.
Did I say something incorrect, or?
Wow. What's up, man?
You don't want to accept your accolades? What?
No.
Anyways,
you didn't say anything. All good.
Okay. All right, just checking to make sure, because I need to make sure everybody out there knows Brad Banks and the man who he is. So
he's just soaking this up right now.
You know I am.
Hey, man, I got to give my friends their roses while they're still living, and I'm going to do that every single time I get the opportunity.
I appreciate that.
There it is. Anyways, we're here for a purpose. We're not just here to go back and forth and banter back and forth, which I could do for a whole 30, 35, 40 minutes, but we're not going to do that. We're here to talk Iowa football specifically against Kent State coming into Kinnick Stadium this upcoming weekend, man. So Kent State 1-1 against our 2-0 Hawkeyes. We already know the jump in the rankings from number 10 to number 5, coming off of that huge win, 27-17 victory over Iowa State University. And we had an opportunity to talk a lot about that in the last show. And we can touch on it a little bit, man. We talked about how dominant an effort that was and how impressed we were on both sides of the football for that team. In my opinion, guys, I want to jump into that just a little bit before we jump into Kent State. What are you guys thinking about the offense? Both of you guys are offensive guys. Both of you guys obviously started for this program. What are your thoughts on the offense and where the offense needs to go from here going into a game like this?
You want me to do this, Brad? You got it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You're the quarterback. You know how it goes. You go first.
So I'll just say this. Like, I know that it's one of those deals where the offense is they're doing what they can right now, and they're building that chemistry. They're building it up really right now. And it's early in the year, right? And they did some good things out there. They were able to look. We got the win, right? But offensively, it's still early, and we still got some work to do. I know Spencer, he's playing some good ball, and I think more things are to come as we go here.
Okay, David, same question for you, bud.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling what Brad's saying. We've been saying this for a minute. The continuity is just a little off, and then we have 2 offensive linemen that are out there, and we put in some new guys in there. And that chemistry between the offensive line, it's just off, and that's causing some pressure and some miscues there, and so that's where you're starting to see the sputtering with the offense. It all starts with the O-line. Petra's doing a very good job with managing the offense and being a good leader out there, being very judicious with the ball placement, and making sure we're not creating a lot of turnovers. He has 0 interceptions for the year. He's batting .500, and I think we're doing a good job of allowing our guys to play themselves into, we'll call it, experience. With the new guys getting in there, with the bring in more chemistry in the run game. You're starting to see that more. Things are starting to click. I'm hoping this game right now will be that light bulb just goes off, and we have a good team. The one thing, I said that last time, I am worried about this team. Coming off of playing 2 top 25 teams, that big emotion, and then also having that in-state rivalry game. Now you're having the game where, okay, this is Kent State. Don't let this be the sleeper game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's a huge opportunity, obviously, for Kent State. They come into this game 1-1. Their loss came against Texas A&M University. That was a score of 41-10 at Texas A&M. So, and then their last game they won by a score of 60-10 over Virginia Military Institute. Again, like I said, their loss came against Texas A&M at 41-10. So they can score and aren't intimidated by the name of the school. They're a spread type of offense that is led by grad student Dustin Crump. As a matter of fact, they got a few grad students to bolster their roster. One is wide receiver Nykeem Johnson. He transferred in from Syracuse, and he was actually followed by tight end Aaron Hackett, who also came from Syracuse. So they got a couple guys from Syracuse, plucked them away from Syracuse, and got an opportunity to get some D1 type caliber players to come in and bolster their offense. They also got another grad transfer from Maryland, safety Antoine Richardson. So Kent State has done a great job in going out and getting these young players and bringing in guys that may not necessarily have started with their program, but they've been able to bring them in to help bolster their roster. However, they are another team. We've seen this each of the last couple of weeks. They're a spread offense, and they're led by their quarterback, Dustin Crump, number 7, who, according to Kirk Ferentz, is a guy who is pretty much a MAC all-star type of player, a guy who can run that offense and does a tremendous job of doing so. And as we've seen with the score last week, they ran the score up 60-10. So he can do some great things and move the ball around, man. So coming into this game, guys, what are your thoughts on how we're going to be able to best slow down this offense?
Ever since I remember when we played them, and they had a few guys transferred on their team that were from West Palm Beach area that I played against the high school. So they've been known to do that over the years and come into games and compete, right? And with Crooms being a quarterback in that offense, and scoring, points they did against, Virginia Military?
Virginia Military Institute, yep.
Like, regardless of who they play, they can score, right? Don't get it twisted. And what that did, that gave them some confidence. Like, hey, we just put up some points, and you can believe that we're going to try to do the same here when we come to Kinnick. And so they get guys in there that can play. And so just be kind of on the lookout that this offense, they may try to do a thing or two, but no, our defense has been lights out. So, good luck with that. Our defense has been playing, so it should be another good challenge for the defense, going into this game to see, to see how we stand and continue to just get better as well.
Yeah, I echo that, Brad. And you're looking at strength on strength. Their offense versus our defense. I mean, they have a high-powered offense, the spread offense that they have there. Their high-tempo run-pass option that they run. And our defense, we're ball hungry. And our defensive front they're going to be the ones, if they can cause havoc in the backfield and disrupt their tempo, disrupt their timing, where they eliminate the run or the pass and eliminate some of their options and make them more one-dimensional, like they have been doing the past 2 games. We're going to be right in there again. We just got to get in there, hit them hard, and take away some of the things. And as the game wears on, how it goes. We start to impose our will, and things really start to change. So I think that's what it is.
So David, they start 5 upperclassmen, 4 seniors and 1 junior. Talk to me. I'm talking about up front, along that offensive line. So talk to me a little bit about what that means for us in terms of the continuity of what that group and having so many upperclassmen, what that means for that group and how that helps that offense.
Well, having a veteran offensive line, you have guys that have gone through the storm. They've been through a lot. And they're not going to get flustered very easily. And they know this offense inside and out. This is why they're able to run up the score the way they did. And part of that with the coach is that he's setting a precedent, right? This is how we play. It doesn't matter what the score is. This is what we need. This is our standard. This is what we need to do. The other team has to stop us. We're not going to stop ourselves. That offensive line understands that, and they have that mentality. So they're going to come out, and they don't care who you are, and they're going to hit us in the mouth. Our defensive line, we're still a little young there, but we're very talented. That offensive line that we're going against, they're talented. I'm not so sure how talented they are compared to us, as well, put them on the equal level. But that experience, that's an equalizer. You know, there's something to be said about that, being able to understand the internal fortitude that it takes to just see something through and have the temerity to show up every day and every play. And to do that, that comes with experience. And that's what those guys have. That's kind of what we're missing on our O-line when we look at, we have 2 new guys in there, and 2 out of 3 that our continuity is just a little off. They're going to have that, and that's going to help them, we'll call it fare better against our defensive line than some other teams that wouldn't have that.
All right. Yeah, no, I would agree, Porter. Shoot, because we're kind of the opposite, right? They have the vets. They're coming in, the Kinnick, and those guys are going to play together, and they've been there and done it. And we know that it starts up front. So for them, they're going to come and set the tone, and everybody else is going to feed off that. That's what they're banking on, I'm sure. And then for us, offensively, our O-line, we have, some 2 younger guys that are stepping in, and with that could be a bit of a challenge in itself. But we know how we prepare. We know how we get ready and get guys ready in a total scheme, if you will. So these guys should just roll right in. But at the same time, there's still some challenges there, and it should be interesting to see what we do.
Like I was talking about, David, it's in terms of their offensive line, they got some veterans up front, and it's going to be a huge opportunity for them, obviously, coming into Kinnick Stadium. And it's going to be a clear, they're coming in thinking that this is going to be their opportunity. I'm sure that a number of them have been recruited by Big Ten programs, particularly Iowa, or they had interest in joining a program like Iowa. And of course, it didn't work out for them. So it's going to be interesting to see how that group offensively gets after our group on the defensive side. Now, moving on over to the defensive side of the ball, they are a very diverse group. They are 3-3-5 scheme by nature. They keep 5 DBs on the field, 3 safeties that they feel very good about. They are a ball hawking group that are actually second. Let me tell you, they're second in the nation in turnovers. They got 8 interceptions. And if you guys are wondering, Iowa actually has 7 turnovers, so that makes us top 5. So we're right up there with them. Their safeties, like I mentioned, are super active in every aspect of the game. They get downhill, they make plays in the backfield, but that also leaves them susceptible to giving them some plays on the back end. That also, being that they're a 3-3-5, meaning there are 3 down linemen, 3 linebacker, and 5 defensive back type of defense, that makes them a little bit lighter in the box in terms of numbers. So our running game should have some opportunities. So Brad, talk to me a little bit about what that looks like in terms of what offenses, in terms of how an offense tries to exploit a 3-3-5 type of scheme.
I think for us, with the run game, it should work in our favor, being that, they are a little light in the box. And but when we go to pass, that's when it could cause issues. Some in particular identifying the linebackers and the linemen to help with protection, and also they lead the country in interceptions. So these guys know how to find the ball when it's in the air. So we have to definitely, be careful with ball security and things of that nature. But going back to us with the run game against the defense, to your point, we definitely should have plenty of opportunities, and we just have to capitalize on them and try to make some plays with that. And but the challenge is going to be identifying the blitzers, and in a 3-3-5 defense, they have that upside to make it hard for an offense to pick up blitzers and with their pass protection and cause a little bit of confusion. So for us, it's just identifying who is who, picking it up, and playing catch.
So it sounds easy. It sounds easy enough. David, I mean, as an offensive lineman, you talking about having to figure these things out on the fly, man. Talk to me a little bit about, I mean, Brad made it sound like it was something that, you know, we figure it out. We count.
Well, I'm not the one that's getting hit, so I have to do the blocking. But
wow.
So, right.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm glad you can finally admit you didn't get hit very much. I'm so glad you can admit that. Yes, thank you. That's impressive. It took like 20 years for you to admit that, but thank you. Wow. A long time. Right.
No problem.
Going against the 3-3-5, the toughest thing is identifying who's the fourth down lineman, right? Of those linebackers, who's our fourth guy in the box? Who's our fourth guy down? And depending on where we're running and what scheme we're actually running into, or what scheme we're passing, you know, identifying that is going to be key for our offensive line. That's why I have Lenenbaum right there is really key. All right, he's our leader on the offensive line. He's our center. He and Petrus, they're going to be the guys that are going to be the ones that say, hey, this is where we are. This is our guy. We account for him. If we do that, and then we start to identify and push and get some movement with the running game, that'll open up the pass game. Because with this and with their turnovers, what that means to me is that their front six, they're controlling that line of scrimmage. They're able to control that line of scrimmage and make teams one-dimensional, right? And allow those 5 DBs to be back there and just hawk that ball. That's what they've been able to do. So when I see those statistics and the turnover ratios, I'm like, hey, that front six, they're pretty good. And they may be part of the scheme, but there's some talented kids over there, and they have scholarships too.
You know, it's interesting because of the fact that, you know, you have to be able to put guys in position to make plays. You know, they only have one underclassman in their starting lineup, a sophomore. Everybody else is upperclassmen with 8 of them on their defensive side being either seniors or grad transfers. So they have a lot of not only talent, but they have a lot of veterans over on that side of the ball. Brad, talk to me a little bit of what that looks like for the passing game and how having those additional DBs kind of creates problems for the passing game for quarterbacks.
So going back to the ball hawk, these guys they got a knack for the ball. And it could be, you run into some coverage issues too, identifying coverages with the DBs. It's going to be key for us to identify who is who. I think that kind of sets the tone for everything because it can cause confusion. And I think Porter, a good example is going back to when we played Michigan and going into week 1 practice, the first day of practice, how it was confusing for us to identify the fourth lineman and the linebacker when they had a similar type of defense, but we just made the adjustment, say, hey, such and such is going to be the fourth lineman, and he's going to be the Mac, and then we just went from there, and we were able to go into the big house and have a fun time with it. So I think that this is going to be a similar situation. We're going back to Tyler. Him and Spencer are going to have to be on the same page, identifying who is who, and they handle the blitzes, and Spencer's going to have to handle the coverage downfield. And so it should be interesting to see.
Yeah. So the Michigan game was identifying, what was it? It was Cato June, right? He was our down line.
It was Victor Hobson, number 6. We didn't know. I think it was Vic. It was either Vic. We were trying to see whether to make Vic a D lineman. I think we had him identified as a fourth lineman. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Once we established the run, we did a couple quick screens and, caught him. I think we caught him in a blitz one time and to the house.
Yep.
To the house. And then we got up and then we just kept going and going.
So let's dive into this a little bit, David. You know, we're talking about how this could possibly be a great opportunity for the run game. You know, we talked a little bit about Tyler Goodson's productivity so far: 40 carries, 154 total yards, and 2 touchdowns over the first 2 games. What do you think about that in terms of how you feel like his productivity has an opportunity to either grow up, or if this defense has enough to cause fits for this offense and not really get that running game going like we're looking at?
This is a prime opportunity for Tyler, right? With this kind of defensive front, with our zone offense, our zone run game, if they blitz us, the backside holes open wide open. They really do. We start getting up to the second and third level and knocking those guys out. It becomes like, okay, this guy over here, number 6, number 5, number 6, we don't need to count them. We're going to run so fast this way, they're not going to be able to close the gap. They're going to be worried about a quarterback coming back around the backside, right? There are different formations and different ways you can run the offense to isolate these guys so that we can make them stay where they need to be. So that's where we're. I think getting our offensive line going with a great run scheme will actually open up the hole, and we press the front side, it'll come right to the back.
No doubt. You know, it's going to be interesting. I mean, because we want to see that running game take off. I mean, Tyler actually had 99 yards in the first game, and so it's going to be interesting to see if that zone blocking scheme is able to pick up everything like you guys talking about in terms of, you know, when this team starts blitzing and how those things kind of factor in. They round out their team, special teams wise. They have 2 freshmen, both at punter and place kicker. So, but 2 young guys, and they also have as their returner the young man that I mentioned earlier, Nykeem Johnson. He's going to be returning for both. He's their primary returner, for both punt returns and kick returns. I'm gonna throw this out there to both you guys. What do y'all think in terms of Brad first? What do you think in terms of having a freshman punter kicker? What does that do in terms of setting us up for potential blocked kicks or blocked field goals?
I'm thinking that it's going to be some fireworks on special teams in our favor. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some punt blocks and we get some touchdowns out of it, or things of that nature. You know, having the freshman guys coming in Kinnick, it can be an ooh-ah experience for them. So that can work in our favor, if you will. But that is it. Naheem Jackson, the return.
Yep, Nykeem. Yep,
Nykeem. That's going to be their key, right? If we got to make him fair catch the ball, we don't want him to count. Oh, sorry about that. We don't want him to get any opportunities to get some good returns in. So, but overall, special teams, I'm expecting for us to make some plays on it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that's all we need to do on special teams. So with that, man, I'm interested in hearing what your guys' take is on what are your thoughts, man? This is going to be an interesting battle. You know, you mentioned how you know, you don't want to have a letdown after playing 2 top 25 teams. You got one of the top teams in the MAC conference, according to Coach Ferentz, coming into Kinnick. What are your 3 keys to victory for the Iowa Hawkeyes in this game?
It's going to be turnover, right? Win the turnover game, right? Their defense, they're number 1 in turnovers for, I guess, the country, and we're a top 5. And we know what that does to a game with the momentum, right? We control the turnover game. It gives us a really good opportunity to come away with a victory. Then you go to the offensive line and our D line, right? Winning up front is going to be really imperative for us. Their defensive line, like you said, their O-line and D-line, they're veteran, right? They've been working together. They have pride right now, and they're playing for a lot coming toward the end of their college career. You guys know what that means as a senior and as a junior. These guys are really going to be playing out hard, and coming to Iowa, we're a top 10 team. They're going to give us their best shot. We have some young guys at offensive line. Our continuity is a little bit off, and they're going to try and blitz us and try to get in our backfield and stop the running game, stop the pass game with confusion, all that good stuff. Being able to communicate effectively on our offensive line and making sure our guys are in the right spot at the right times, using the right technique, and we don't bail on our own technique, right? The line play, control the turnover, and then ball control. On the offensive side, we have to sustain drives, sustaining drives and giving our defensive time to rest. And the defense get off the field, right? That's really is controlling the ball, offensive line play. Yeah, that's a W for us when we do all that, all three.
Brad?
Yeah, so I think you hit it on the nose with the O-line, our O-line, being that we have the young guys in. Communication is going to be key for them. The key offensively for us is to take advantage of that defense and get some good runs and establish a good run game. And then, defensively, we have to make sure we keep Crooms in check as best as we can. He can throw it, he can run it, and so we have to do a good job there. And then on special teams, capitalize on the young guys and try to get some punt blocks and get some returns in for some touchdowns. I think that right there definitely will be good in our favor for sure.
No question. And so I'm in agreement. I think that number one key for me is you have to stop Dustin Crum. He is the third leading rusher on the team. He is the number one passer on the team. He is a danger and a threat to go the distance just about every single play. He's a guy that will cause us fits if we don't keep him in the pocket. Got to force a guy like that to have to beat you with his arm and not get an opportunity to make himself multi-dimensional. So he's the number one key for me. Secondly, special teams. You may mention to this before, Brad. I would love to see a block. We haven't had a block kick up to this point this season. Iowa's team is very well known for special teams, has been in the entirety of Kirk Ferentz's tenureship. So it's time for these special teams to turn up and turn on and get a block punt, block kick, block field goal. It's time for them to get off and make a play like that. And my third key, this defense has done amazingly up to this point. We made mention to it, top 5 defensively in turnovers and really getting after opposing offenses. I want to see 5 to 6 sacks by this defensive front coming out of this game. They have a veteran group. Like I mentioned, they have 4 seniors and 4 seniors actually, and 3 seniors, 1 junior, and 1 sophomore. So they are a veteran group of guys, and they definitely have a lot of ability in terms of keeping Crum upright and making those running lanes for both those backs as well as Crum. So being able to defensively get after Crum, making sure he is uncomfortable, and continually having to reset his feet. Obviously, I want the numbers and statistics in terms of 6+ sacks, but I want countless hurries. I want him to have to pick himself up off the field multiple times throughout the game. We do those things. We get after their quarterback. We get after them on special teams. I feel strongly that this will come out with a victory. So those are my 3 keys to the game. Fellas, you got anything else to wrap us before we wrap up?
I think I'm all good. Just thanks for having me on for sure, Colin. Love what you're doing. Porter, always a pleasure.
Brad, it's good seeing you, man. Thank you. I'm glad you said you haven't really been touched much when you were playing football with us. So that was great. It's about 20 years. It's awesome.
I think that, you guys did an awesome job. I thought you already knew that. I might struggle to say it more. I didn't harp on that more.
It's all good, man. Thank you, though. Better late than never.
I sense some hurt feelings. We got to make sure we move past this. Got to make sure it's not something that we continue to move on to. We got to move past it. All right, come on.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time, Colin. But I'll be sure to show my appreciation every time.
Me too. That's awesome.
Thank you, Porter. Thank you for all you do, all you've done.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. You're amazing.
All right. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode of Hawk Talk. I'm your host, Colin Cole, and I'm joined today by my guest, David Porter, as well as Brad Banks. We're looking forward to a great game at Kinnick Stadium this upcoming Saturday. Make sure that you guys tune in. Make sure that you guys get a chance to get into the game, enjoy the game. Make sure that you're cheering to the loudest that you possibly can. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate the fans. We appreciate everybody. So with that, thank you all for joining me. I'm Colin Cole. This was Hawk Talk, and God bless and take care.
Peace.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Yeah. I'll take that.